Alright everyone, this is the end of our pregnancy story, month 9 and birth. I realized I hadn't done like an introduction to myself since like the first introduction. So hello everyone, my name is Ashley Evans. I am a new mom, and again this is my pregnancy story here in Japan. And for this specific special, we could say, is I want to go ahead and talk about my actual birth and my hospital stay and a little bit of like my time afterwards. I've got a crap ton of videos and clips for you, how it's been the first 2 weeks with the baby, our big systems, things we use, things we don't use. I hope that like this is packed full of good little tidbits of what to expect delivering a baby in Japan, because honestly I had no expectations at all. Now that I've experienced it, I can tell you. So let's go to the actual birth. The doctor had me induced, or scheduled for an induction. I'm about to go to the hospital. I've got the bubble guts. We're double checking our hospital bag. You nervous?
Of course.
I know I am. He's got me. I'm bringing. Hopefully, I can watch my Sailor Moon. Screw background music, like Sailor Moon. It's easier. So we're getting ready, and we go get checked in at the clinic where they're expecting us. I feel like having a planned induction was actually like really helpful for us, so we didn't have to worry about when's the baby going to come, when the baby is here. We didn't have to worry about like how do I get to the hospital, if they have enough beds for me, and then of course do they have enough room for me for the delivery room, because they only have like 3 delivery rooms at my clinic, and they have a few other areas, like 2 rooms that are like can be delivery rooms, but they also can be operation rooms or prep rooms. They're on a tight schedule, but I mean, birth itself could be really short. Whenever I got checked in, they didn't allow Alex to go in. I was hoping that he could stay, but he couldn't, which is fine. Things did work out. So that day, after my interpreter was here for like all of like 30 minutes, she left, and it was like, okay, let's go get you changed, and we're gonna put the Foley balloon inserted. So we went in, and it's like a catheter in the shape and size and stuff, and how they placed it, kind of, if that makes sense. And it's supposed to be like no more than like this big once they put the saline solution inside, and it's supposed to just put constant pressure on the cervix so that way it begins to soften and begins to open. So I've been admitted into the hospital. I've already got my Foley balloon inside, and this is my room. I've got my Sailor Moon set up over there. But yeah, that's that. I didn't document how open my cervix was the whole time. Apparently it was no big deal, in that it was in a timely manner. It was doing what it was supposed to do. So I slept over the night with that, and I was scheduled to come in for the Pitocin, or in Japanese they have the same Oxytocin, but it's called Antonin. So they were going to start me with the Antonin at 6 o'clock in the morning. And then I took my little setup with me to the delivery room with my laptop, where I was playing my Sailor Moon, my iPad so I can call anyone, specifically Alex, or my interpreter, and I have my phone, of course. I was kind of like disappointed the fact that I couldn't really move around once they put me with the Antonin. I had through IV drip, so I couldn't really move around all I wanted to. I could have, but it's just like, it was just like this machine that's hooked onto me, and they were constantly checking on it. And then they had the monitoring my contractions as well. So it was kind of just like a stay put kind of thing. I mean, I was good to go. Like, it felt like regular menstrual cramps, nothing crazy. Honestly, because they had me on the monitoring machine during the nighttime, or they hooked me on for like a 30 minutes kind of monitoring 3 or 4 times during the nighttime, just to see how the cervix was opening and to see if I was actually beginning to have contractions. So I was having contractions during the nighttime before they even started me on the Antonin. They were, fall like they should, but once they started with the Oxytocin, the Antonin, I feel like they just were a lot more irregular, which is, it's fine, I guess. So I'm just, watching my Sailor Moon, chilling, hanging out. I've been sitting there for about 4 hours. It's like 10 o'clock. And I was asking my midwife when she came in for a check-in, I was like, hey, my water hasn't broken yet. Like, do we have any idea when that'll happen? Because technically, like, labor won't happen until, like, the water is broken. Technically, I'm having contractions, but, like the labor part hasn't started yet. So, like, when does it all start? She's like, well, we don't really know. I said, it'd be really nice because we're on day 2. It's the last day my husband's off. And for the rest of the week after today, or after the day of the labor, that he won't have enough time to drive during visiting hours to see his son. I was like, it'd be really nice if the baby came, like, this afternoon, because then my husband could come during visiting hours for today and see the baby. And I guess that little message got, like, passed on to my doctor, because, like, 30 minutes later he comes and he goes, we're gonna go break your water. I was like, okay. And it was just him and a midwife, and I want to say just the 2 of them, I think. There might have been someone else. I remember he was looking at my Sailor Moon, he goes, oh look, you're practicing in Japanese. I was like, nope, it's in English. And I pressed play, he goes, I see. He's like, we're gonna break your water. And they came in with this big pair of scissors looking thing. And I don't think I had my glasses on, but I was like, guys, is it gonna hurt? And like, they looked at me and they didn't say anything. So they either weren't paying attention or they were just like, we're not gonna tell you. They go and check the cervix, and then I feel this snip. I was like, it was a little painful, but it was quick. And of course it was more surprising than anything. And then it felt really weird of just my water breaking, because it was just like a warm flow of like fluids. I was like, I'm laying down, can like sit up maybe, like, and I was like, maybe be like a little bit, and I was like a little bit, and then it's like a lot more. Can we get like a towel going on? Like I'm gonna start dripping everywhere. It was a lot of liquid. And then like almost immediately the real contractions came in, and I was like, oh, this is labor. But it wasn't too bad. Like the majority of the contractions I was having after he broke my water wasn't as bad until the ones right before we got to like the like active labor, the part where I start pushing. And basically from the time he broke my water to the time the baby actually like came out was from 10:30 to 1 p.m. So that was 10:30, 11:30, 12:30, so like 2.5, like almost 3 hours of like that like type of labor. So it was really quick, it was really fast. And so did the contractions. The contractions came in hot and fast, because I was looking at like how much they were going to give me, and she was telling me she was going to give me like all of the doses. And I think that the thing was set up for like no more than this for the doses, and she was saying like, no, we're going to give you like all of it. And I was like, it's going to take forever. So I guess like all of it like crashed at once the water broke. And like I said, they were coming hot and fast right before we start delivering the baby. I was getting those really strong. It's painful, and I felt like I'm gonna pass out. And that was my big fear, was like, I'm gonna pass out from the pain. So I called in the nurse and I was like, hey, these are really painful. Can you just stay here with me? And I guess she was like checking on like the contractions and seeing how they're coming, how fast they're coming, how hard they're coming. And I think she was like, okay, I think they were gonna start labor. And she left and came back and said, please don't leave, please stay. We have a call button, call someone else. But like right before we could do anything, I was like, hey, I need to pee. So I was like, we're having a contraction, let's have the contraction. So I'm like, stood up, and I was like, oh, this is painful. It's like, okay, let's go. And then we ran to the restroom, which is like my room, the hall, and then the restroom. So I like ran to the restroom with my little IV drip, sit on the toilet, and it was like, oh, another contraction, oh, this is painful, oh, this is painful. Okay, I peed. Let's go. Go back to the bedroom. Sits back down. Another contraction. That's how fast they were coming. And I was really glad that I did pee, because after we did the delivery, they had me sit there for 2 hours, and they said I couldn't move even though I had to pee afterwards. And I'm like, I would have popped if I hadn't peed beforehand. So I was glad I could do that. But I think I had like maybe like 2 more really painful contractions, and then I started to have the urge to push. And I was like, girl, like, I think I'm ready to push. I want to push. Like my body is like, I gotta do something with the contractions. I can't just sit in the pain. It's like, it's time to like use them for a purpose. So I was getting to the zone of like, let's start to push the baby down. As like with each contraction, it's like she's like putting on her suit and she's like getting me prepped and like getting the stirrups right. And it's like one person would come in with one contraction, the next contraction there's another person coming in. Eventually the doctor comes in. And by the time the doctor's there, I'm like, we're like, the baby's coming out. Like I said, it all came really fast. I had called I think about 3 nurses were in the room, and it's a blur. I'm trying to figure out if it was whenever the doctor had broke my water, or if it was the second time whenever he was in for delivery. I asked them, I said, do you guys want me to call my interpreter? And they were like, no, you're good. So I didn't call my interpreter at all. But I did call Alex on my iPad so he could like be here with me. He wasn't there to see anything. He was just there with me. I was like, it's not going to be easy viewing, but it's happening. So he sat there and stuck it with me. It was weird because like after like the first 2 pushes, they were like, hey, you have little handles. We want you to use them whenever you want to do your push, and so that you can squeeze better this way than just like, you just kind of doing your own thing. So that was actually kind of helpful, having something to grip and like use physically to like get all the energy and get the birth happening. I was afraid of like the ring of fire, but I don't think I had one, honestly. I guess I had a good pelvic shape, so it wasn't as painful as the baby came. Like, he came out pretty fast and like no problems. I think one time they asked me to hold on to push, but I was like, ugh. The breathing, they had me, instead of doing a woo, they had a foo, like a fu, like a foo. So foo, it's like was normally the down breathing that I was doing for the majority of the experience. But it did eventually turn into like a full-on like grunt, like and I think they were asking me to like not grunt but to breathe, and I was like, I'm trying, but like it takes a bit. And I'm also still recovering from like a cough, so like after the birth I was like, my throat and like all of that was like all really irritated from all the grunting and breathing and stuff. Like I said, the baby comes out at like 1 p.m. and I was like, congratulations! Now on my birth plan, I said, hey, whenever the baby comes out, you guys can just take the baby and clean him up and then give him back to me, right? I don't want all the gunk and nasty and stuff. But like one midwife didn't get that memo. She was like, here's your baby. And I was like, oh. She's like, here, put it on your face. And I was like, he's gross. I was like, he's gross. Okay, sure, I'll hold the baby a little bit, but can you please go clean him up? So yeah, they cleaned him up, and eventually we had skin to skin. How's you looking? Good night. Okay, and at the end, of course, I was asking, Alice, can you see? And I realized that the like hospital bar thing, it was like blocking him so he couldn't see. He wanted to have a picture whenever I hold the baby for the first time, and I was like, well, you're on the video, you can probably see. So the person who was taking pictures in the room, she came in a little late. I think she might have a video of the baby actually like being born. I have no idea. She was filming that video, and I was asking her like, hey, can you help me with the thing so he could actually see me holding the baby? So that's why that video ended clip like really shortly. she's gonna help you. Fortunately, Alex was able to come and hold the baby for the first time. He looks like my dad. You want to sit down with him?
It's okay. I've been standing all day. Okay.
That was the birth. Like I said, they had me sit there for 2 hours, not moving, and they also stitched me. And I'm going to talk about stitches later, but like immediately after we delivered the baby in the placenta, they were taking the cord blood, and then he's like, all right, we're going to do some stitches. I'm just sitting there like, just kind of like, oh, I just gave birth, you know? The doctor he said, I'm using anesthesia, but we're doing some stitches. So he had like used anesthesia for one spot, but then 2 other spots he stitched me without it, really. So I felt all of that. It was no fun. No fun at all. And because I could feel it all, I was really tense. And I think one specific area, he stitched me and it was like too tight because I was like I was like tensed. So whenever I relaxed later on, the stitches themselves were too tight. And so I was having trouble almost for like 2 weeks afterwards with that specific stitch. No one told me that you're not supposed to sit cross-legged when you have stitches postpartum. So at the whole week, I'd been sitting on like a little a donut pillow. Whenever I was breastfeeding, I would have my feet over the edge of the bed as I'm sitting on the pillow and then have the nursing pillow, right? So when I got home and I had my own nursing pillow, I was sitting at the back of my bed where my legs weren't over the edge. They were up like this, so I was like, well, it'd make more sense to sit cross-legged, and I think I pulled a stitch, and they said it was fine. I went back to the clinic because it was really painful, and they're like, yep, everything's fine. And I was like, no, it's not. And the doctor, he was like poking at it, like, this is what hurt. Yes, it hurts. This one hurt. Yes, that hurts. And he goes, it's clean, it's clear, it's, you know, really pretty looking. It's the word kire. It means clean or pretty, so it's a good stitch. And I was like, I'm glad it's a good stitch, but it hurts. Like, what are we gonna do about it? And he gave me like all these crazy medicines. Specifically, there's a suppository that they gave me. They gave me an ointment cream. They gave me more of the generic like Tylenol type, and I think they gave me one other medicine, and I was like, this is all great, but like I'm in pain, y'all. And I was like immobile for like a day after I like pulled that stitch, so that was no fun. Like I was telling Alex, I said it was almost as painful as the birth. Just dealing with the stitches, they were just painful. But it's also compared to like I didn't have a really painful birth, which was great. Okay, doke, I want to talk about some of the cool things going on like while I was at the hospital. So I showed you the room. Here's a series of all the food I ate at the hospital during my stay. For the congratulatory meal, we had a 5-course meal. I was not expecting to have such a gourmet meal, but it was absolutely delicious, and I felt special. Before I checked in, they had a video, like an introduction video of like what you're gonna get. and what to expect whenever you, like, after you deliver your baby and stuff. Just generally toiletries, and then they gave me 2 pairs of the Velcro underwear, which they just put on me whenever I had the Foley balloon, and then they had another one with my pajamas in the room. So I pretty much just wore those 2 underwear for like 4 days. Because they would just change, they had these humongous pads they would put onto these underwear. And then they had another pad inside. So there's like a big, like, pillowy pad over this underwear, and then another regular pad inside of that. So I didn't really have to change my underwear as often, and they're both like Velcro type, so that way whenever they come in to check for the stitches and, like, I guess to see if I'm like bleeding too much, they would just like, okay, we're gonna go check, and they just check my underwear and then Velcro me back. So actually the underwear was really useful, but I'm glad I didn't have to purchase them, because they're really just one-time use, and I only brought 1 pair back because I think that, like, I stained one and they just like trashed it or something, so I only have like 1 pair. I wore it like one time and was like, this is kind of still uncomfortable to wear, because I don't know, like, not the best shape of underwear. Anyway, talking about underwear, they gave me underwear. They provided me with pajamas, even though I packed my own pajamas. They had gown and pants, but it took me like almost like 2 weeks to wear pants again comfortably. I could wear my pajama pants by the end of the week, but jeans wasn't for like another week. And I was actually surprised whenever I could put on jeans. I was like, look, I'm wearing jeans. They gave me a set amount of pads, and I ran through them by the end of the week, and they gave me some more. Towels for washing. I had a shower, toilet, along with my room. And they, of course, had the bottles there for me to use, so I didn't have to worry about bringing my own bottles or my own formula or any diapers. All the diapers that they had like in the his bassinet at the very bottom. They actually had 2 big packs of diapers that they would use only for my baby. And then by the end of the week, they said, take them all home. So they just gifted me with like a whole like 2 packs of diapers just for the baby. There were snacks. What else was in the immunity bags? Things like shampoo and conditioner, but there was also like this weird like oil thing they offered me with like Q-tips and like baby ointment and like gauze. Really strange items, but I pretty much used everything. The day after the baby was born, they offered for a massage, and after you do like that type of birth, my neck, shoulders, arms, because like not only you're holding this baby that you haven't been working out to do, I mean honestly, if you get a chance, get yourself a bag of rice and start practicing before you deliver. My arms were so sore. So my back, shoulder, neck, and arms was the most sore. So they said we offer aroma massages, and I think they're covered in your package up until a certain amount, and then you have to pay extra. And I was like, let's do it. So I got myself a nice massage. Like I said, I was surprised how sore my arms were. Haven't worn deodorant like the entire time since like the birth, because I've been worried about him being irritated. So I was like sweaty. I was like, I'm so sorry. I did take a shower, but like, I'm rank. So the temperature was kind of like haywire, and so was the lighting. They had this down lights in my room, but they didn't get like dim enough. I also had to figure out like how to check off the door light, because the door light was brighter than all the other lights whenever I turned everything off, but if you turned everything off it was too dark. So I was like, I wouldn't be able to see the baby. I was like frantically concerned that my baby would stop breathing, and they were like, we have a monitor. I was like, I don't trust your monitor. I was like, I need to be like seeing the baby. I need to like feel the baby. It was a high stress environment. I mean, it really was. And not because it was like stressful. It was more like I had to get prepared. I had to like get in the zone. I had to know what I'm doing, because when I was leaving the hospital, I'm on my own. And I know I have a lot more like things that most women, like even in America, would have. They would only just be like, you know, here's your shots, your baby's good to go, bye. You know, so I had an extra 3 more days than most, you know, American women will have. So I was like, I'm gonna take all this time to let's practice. So I was practicing like sleeping with the baby during the nighttime. Of course I wanted to breastfeed, but breastfeeding is difficult, not for like latching or like the actual feeding. The hard part of breastfeeding is the time requirement. You required a lot more of your time to, you have to feed the baby basically every 3 hours up until they're full. So that can take a lot of time. And if you're also exhausted, then you're not gonna have much time to like sleep and to breastfeed. And I think the second night I was trying really hard to sleep with the baby, and I like had like a full-on breakdown because like the lady came in and she put the baby on his side, and I was like, that's gonna kill my baby. Like, why do you guys keep bringing my baby like on his side? Like, he's supposed to be sleeping on his back to prevent SIDS. And we had this big old discussion. Apparently the Japanese style of preventing SIDS is laying the baby on the side. So if like they just drank too much milk, if they're gonna spit up and they don't choke on it, kind of like, you know, we think like when someone is drinking alcohol, they drink too much and they fall asleep, you want to put them on their side so if they vomit, they don't vomit and then suffocate. So the Japanese style is to put the baby on their side. And we were talking about like the CDC and like the Japanese. She's like, well, I don't know which one you want to do. I was like, I don't either. But you know, it's up to me ultimately. So we've been doing like kind of a mix, but regardless, it was like a hot button issue. Like I told you, I'd been stressed out. I want to make sure that the baby's okay. And then I was having trouble like breastfeeding because he like didn't want to latch, but he was definitely hungry, and now I'm tired. Don't need to make another bottle. I was like, can you help me? And so I called my interpreter like in the middle of the night. I was like, hey bro, can you help me? We're having this discussion, and like I don't think she understands what I'm talking about. I was like, I'm trying to make sure I can like do all night with my baby, but like she's asking if I should give the baby to the nurses for the night. And I was like, you know, broke down on the phone. Like, the problem I'm having is like, if I can't stay up all night with my baby here, I won't be able to stay up all night whenever I go home, and no one's going to be taking care of my baby. I don't have a nursing station when I get home. And just broke down crying. And it was like, I knew I would have emotions, but it was still hard to deal with them. And eventually, you know, when she kind of realized that like I was like having the baby blues, she goes, it's okay. It's all right. Breastfeeding's hard, mama, you know, and you can just, I know you're trying hard, and I know your situation. I know that, you know, it's not going to be easy when you go back home, but right now you need to take care of yourself, and we can take care of the baby for now. So we'll take the baby for the night and we'll try again, you know. It was difficult, you know, tearing up now just thinking about like the like raw emotion of just like I want to be able to take care of the baby, and not so much that I want to be a perfect mom. It's just more like I'm the only one he has who's going to take care of him, the only person he's relying on. So that was the hard part for me, the baby blues. It came back a few times afterwards, once I was home. Thankfully, Alex and the interpreter actually scheduled the help to be almost every day. So I almost always had someone to help me. Like, I need to go take a shower, I need to take a nap, I need to run and get lunch, or just an extra pair of hands cleaning, an extra pair of hands like changing the baby. It was really helpful with the help. I had 2 helpers. They're both volunteers from the city, and they came pretty much equally. I spent about $200 for both of them for 2 weeks, and they came, you know, for about 2 to 3 hours max each day that they would come. The first nights were pretty rough. They were pretty difficult. Alex pretty much was, he understood that I was also stressed out too, so he wanted to take as much time as possible to come home if like I needed it, which was really helpful whenever I was like, oh, I just need to like, because I would fall asleep in the middle of like 3 o'clock. It's like the hardest hour because your body's really like, okay, it's the middle of the night, you should be sleeping. I'm like, no, I'm breastfeeding this baby right now. And like, I set a timer on my phone after, so I have an alarm for each 3 hours, and then whenever I start breastfeeding, I put on a 10-minute timer, so it'll wake me up if I fall asleep, because I was falling asleep after breastfeeding him, or in breastfeeding, and then I wake up like 2 hours later or the next alarm. It's like, oh no, I've been sleeping with the baby. Oh no, the worst thing I could do possibly. The baby's been fine, and we've been better about the alarms, but like those first few nights were a little more difficult to do. Well, I figured I might as well go ahead and do this while the baby is sleeping. It's a little warm today, so we just did a quick like walk around the block with our nice baby carrier. But let me show you some of our systems that we've been working with the last 2 weeks. So this is our changing station. It's a little messier than last time we saw it. Unfortunately, the baby had peed all over the mats. I'll show you how we wash things, but we have the mat, and then there's a layer that my husband kept from IKEA, because it's an item from IKEA. And we have a waterproof mat, and then a second one, and he peed and then pooed on both of them. So this is my temporary one while the other ones are drying. These have been fantastic. They're little like muslin cloths, and they're basically our burp rags. We're still using regular diapers for right now, all the ones that have been gifted to us. And then of course we bought a few more. We're trying to find the right system for the reusable pads. We just haven't found the one right now. The cute little hat. All this cute bear stuff. And this is where we keep all of our nice crib items, his blankets basically, and they're also this really thin cotton material. So it's supposed to be really breathable. This has been great, super easy to use. You just pop it open, you put the diaper in, you push a little bit, and you use this little thing and twist it around. Twists for you, so it's really easy, super cheap, great investment. One of the systems we got from the hospital was this disinfectant system. So you have your bottle, right? The hospital had us using formula, specifically this brand, and it comes with a spoon that measures 20 cc of formula, and you put it in your bottle and you fill it to 20 cc. You can always half it or pour out whatever you don't need. Right now he's probably around 60 every time we feed him. But anywho, after we use our hot water, we realized it got hot too fast. So I've been like turning it on, holding it and feeling so it's like warm here, turning it off, and then pouring it into the bottle. Because the bottles themselves are plastic and they're super thick. We did not use the bottle warmer because I had really bad reviews and people talked about how it just wasn't as useful as it should have been. So we basically have this here to cool it off or run down some like really cool water. Glass bottles would probably be the best option. If you have an option to get Dr. Brown's glass, that'd probably be best. If not, I would go ahead and recommend doing a different bottle system. Just glass is easiest to cool and heat up, and that's something I found out after the hospital. So anyway, after you're done using your bottle, we've been taking all the parts apart. They have this specific soap, Milton, and sponges that we have laying around. After we're done washing them, we put them into this disinfectant solution with a little tablet, and it's either 200 milligrams or 400 milligrams, and inside the little tongs, and you use the tongs to put things in the water or take out, and you're supposed to leave them in there for about an hour, and then we put them on our cute little cactus drying rack. It's also where I put my pumps and my bags. So very simple system, nothing crazy. That's just feeding and changing. The last thing is washing. This is our super duper tiny washer compared to our regular size washer. Just use the shorts. And basically, it's like a manual washer, if that makes sense. This is some of the stuff he peed on. And it has two parts. It has a little tumbler and then a non-tumbler setting. We've been using the tumbler, but if you're going to use it, you really have to actually like load it up properly. I've been using all the burp rags and his small clothes in the inner chamber and trying to make sure that it's really well balanced. And then taking the heavier items like this and placing them around the outside part. We have our baby soap that was recommended by Akachan Hanpo, and we just use a little bit of soap. I have a bucket. Use the bucket from our shower. Just runs really fast. Take the bucket, pour it in here, and it's in Japanese, but it's very simple. There's a little knob here, which is for wash and spin. The timer is for 15 minutes. It's just like a clock timer. Once you start it, it's just going to run time. But we fill it in to about halfway, no problem. Turn on the wash setting, put on the timer, close it. It starts going. It's pretty much how it sounds. After that, we take this little hose. It's very similar to the one from our regular one, and empty out whatever water is in the chamber. Now you have to be really careful with this because it's not attached to anything. It says after the wash, we dump the water. I normally do a rinse with the bucket. Just get the bucket again, quick rinse of the soap, dump the water again, and then I'll just go to spin for the same amount, making sure that the load is still well balanced. After that, there might be some more water that I dump out, and that's laundry. It's basically hand washing, like advanced style. We put our items up. No big deal, just a very Japanese style of just, you put your laundry up. This is our waterproof. Alright, moving on to going outside. This is our stroller. We haven't used it yet, but Alex got it on a bargain, so we're going to have to see how we love it or how we hate it. Of course, our car seat. We're still in the process of moving, so it's here for right now, but we've used it taking the baby to and from the hospital. It's a little big for him, because, you know, he's a newborn, he's tiny. Alright, so I wanted to show you guys, basically, our system, our baby diary. It was given to us by the clinic, and it's basically just, we log his input and output, if that makes sense. The M is for milk or formula, and then how much we give him, or how much he finishes. The checks is for me breastfeeding. I'm trying to breastfeed him more. We're supplementing with the formula, as advised by the clinic. And then we tally per day how often he pees, and then on the right side how often he poops. And it's just a very simple way of tallying and keeping track, and we take it with us when we go to the clinic for checkups. So I wanted to also show you that my clinic gave us a diagram of like how to use the systems that they gave us. For example, the bassinet, how to use the bassinet. They came with these little breathing monitors, and the breathing monitors, basically, you put the baby in the bassinet, you press the little button, and it's supposed to measure how the baby's breathing. And if the baby stops breathing, or is breathing irregular, or the baby's taking out, a little alarm will sound. It was also adjustable, like up and down and tilting, so it was pretty cool. They also had information about like diaper changes, the diapers that they gave us, and then what to look for the first week that we were there. They went over the same system I just went over with you guys. It's all really well detailed, but like it's in Japanese, including some tips for breastfeeding and burping. They also talked about grooming. The umbilical cord was disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. But moving on, we were given vitamin K. I was supposed to use it and administer it to him once a week. We have a lot of it. So here's the baby. He's sleeping, kind of. He's most likely kind of hungry. That's why he's fidgeting. But this is our bassinet. We have all of our clothes underneath. And then I normally have one waterproof sheet, his cotton cloth, and then, or linen? It might be linen, because this one's cotton, yeah. And then we normally try to swaddle him, but he really doesn't like being swaddled, thus he just kicks everything off. And I just try to make sure everything's flat and really simple. He also kicked out his pacifier. So I just wanted to show you like what I normally wear. A variation of this, we got just like shorts. I have, you know, sleeping pants, pajamas, and then just my breastfeeding cami, which has little snaps, which gives me easy access to both breasts. It's padded, but I took out the pads because I didn't like them. And of course you can put your little milk pad inside if you need it as well. But this is pretty much just what I wear. Sometimes I put a shirt on, there's company, or I have a button-down gown that just buttons straight up and down. It makes it easy whenever I just don't have like one piece of clothes. Because I had to ask a friend, I decided to do a video about how to dress your baby in kimono style onesies. So on the one I'm holding now is the short kimono, and then this one is the long kimono. They have the seams on the outside so they don't irritate the baby. And normally what I'll do is place both of them on the baby at the same time with the short one inside and then the long one over it. So of course I just placed the baby inside, and I'm looking for the 2 ties that are going to be on the inside near the armpit, as that's the first place to tie a kimono. This kimono set has different colored strings so that we can tell which one to start with. And then we finish off by doing the outside tie. It's going to be the exact same on the long kimono. Lastly, the long kimono has 2 snaps to make it like a footsie type or like leg. 1 snap, 2 snap, and then snap together. It's easier than like the onesies from America where they have like all the metal snaps. And we are finished. Dress the baby. One of the last things I want to talk about that I didn't mention included things like my communication with the nurses. So I, don't really have the best Japanese, but the majority of the time I was just by myself speaking as much Japanese as possible. Google Translate was my best friend, but like I also wasn't as bad as I thought. Each time I would get a nurse, it was a new nurse or a new midwife, so almost always it was always someone new, and they would approach communicating with me would be different. There's like a lot of instruction that needs to be done. How do you do the bottles, how to hold the baby, how to feed the baby, how to go to sleep, how to take the changes. And it was all in Japanese, but it was all pretty simply or explanatory. So no big deal, really. I'd rather have had an English-speaking clinic. About 3 times I had someone that they introduced to me was like, the doctor came in was like, here, this is another staff member who speaks English. If you have questions, talk to him. He just like handed the man to me. He's like, hi, I speak English. My name is this. I'm like, nice to meet you. And then like never saw that person ever again. At the end of my visit, we of course had to pay. Now, I have specific issue with the payment because we had $2,000 and it was used by Alice's new job to put a down payment for our apartment, even though they're the ones who signed the lease. They should have put up the money. And so we had to go through it and dig through all of our savings to cover that cost. And I was like, we really shouldn't be doing that. We should be using that for the baby that we've been saving for, a whole year. Sure enough, we had raised some money from the church for our baby shower, which was supposed to cover the room, but there was additional fees, general hospital fees, which racked up about another $1,000 after using the welfare. We basically came up with a bill that was about another $2,000, and I was like, we don't have that much money. Like, we gotta go get like someone to spot us, $800 or something like that, because we just didn't have enough money at the time. And like, he was getting paid that day, but he like couldn't get paid. His boss didn't actually give him the cash the day he was supposed to get paid. I was like, why is this all happening all at once? It's so awful. We paid the bill. But I was like, we had that money and we should have been able to pay for it comfortably. So I'm a little upset with Alex's job making us foot the bill earlier than we were supposed to. Because they're supposed to take that money from our paycheck. So that was the cost and the billing. And then we just took the baby home. After all of the craziness that happened, we got, it was my idea to get gifts for our interpreters because, you know, they didn't want payment, but I was like, you know, you guys did a lot of hard work, but I still wanted to give them a gift of showing my appreciation because it's still been helpful. And I wanted to get them both gift cards, but apparently Japanese really don't do gift cards, so we couldn't like go to a Nitori, a home goods store. I was like, that'd be really cool. They can get something they want for like 30 bucks or something like that, but they didn't have gift cards. So I was like, well, I'm gonna go to Starbucks. Like, don't go to Starbucks, just go buy our male friend $30 worth of gifts. I said, how about some cups, matching cups with him and his wife, and he got like a crazy straw for his kid. And then the actual gift was a puzzle. One of the physical puzzles that you have to like undo to like, because he's a very intellectual guy and he's really into like puzzles and tabletop games, so that was his gift. And then for my female interpreter, her favorite food place to go is Subway, so we gave her like $30 in cash. This is specifically for Subway because they don't do gift cards. And then I had a Texas shaped cookie cutter because she likes to bake. And I was like, I'm glad we can put out our last gift because whenever we first got to Japan, we brought a whole bunch of Texas-based gifts to give away, and it was like the last one we had. I'm glad that was a good use of that gift. That's what we gave to them, and then they consequently gave us other gifts too. Our male interpreter friend gave us a samurai suit for May Day, for Children's Day. And then female interpreter friend gave us 2 outfits. One outfit's a cute little overalls and the other one's Dragon Ball Z for the baby. So cute. So that's pretty much everything I wanted to talk about like the craziness that happened. You know, I do think I want to have another baby, but I think that I definitely don't want to have in the same circumstances. Like, coronavirus has made this like significantly harder than it should be. It's been so difficult to just like, because everyone wants to like hold the baby and kiss the baby and see the baby, but like it's not practical. We can't do it. Also, like the fact that my husband couldn't have come for like regular visiting hours, because visiting hours regularly he could have made, you know, he could have come in no problem, but with the shortened hours he couldn't come. I'm really glad that he was able to come whenever, like the day the baby was born, and hold him, because like that wouldn't have been an option otherwise. Lastly, I think that having a medical interpreter would have been a lot easier, and they're just not really available because of coronavirus. I don't know what you guys want to see after, you know, this like update with baby. I'm not sure how you know, if you guys want to see any more content from me, what kind of content you guys would want to have. Would you want to see, you know, baby like updates? Would you want just updates here in Japan? You know, do you have specific questions? I don't know what you guys want to see, but if you have anything specific, I don't mind making the content for it. I guess I'll just end my video with a few cute clips of my baby just being baby. And thank you for watching this entire series. It's been a blast. And take care of yourself. Again, if you don't specifically talk to me, I know that you still watch these videos for a specific reason, that you're at least interested in having babies, or having babies, or had babies in Japan. So again, good luck to you, and take care of yourself. And I hope to see you again. Bye bye!